Hi everyone, I want to show you how to do the magic circle, also known as the magic ring, and this is versus the starter chain stitch when you're doing hats or granny squares or anything that is in the shape of a circle. And I just wanted to go ahead and do an example. The hook, I got some cat hair in the way, sorry about that. The hook that I'm using is an I-9 or a 5.50 millimeter. You don't have to use this. This is just for an example, but if you want to use what I'm using to practice, you're more than welcome. And the yarn that I'm using is a Red Heart Super Saver. This is a number 4 medium weight and 100% acrylic. So that's the yarn that I'm using for this example today. Now, I'm going to start out by doing my slip knot on my hook, and there's different ways to do this, but here's one of the simplest ways, I believe. And you're going to start out by wrapping the yarn around your finger twice, and there's once and twice, and then you just take the back piece of yarn, bring it over that front piece of yarn. Now you take that new back piece of yarn and bring it over your whole finger, and that's your slip knot. You put your hook through, take your finger out, and then you're going to tighten it up. Now my pattern is calling for a chain 4, so I'm showing you how to do the starter chain first. And in this pattern it says to connect to make your circle by inserting the hook into the first chain. And get closer here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Going into that very first chain with my hook, grabbing my yarn, pulling it through, and then pulling it through the other yarn that's on the hook, and that's a slip stitch, or it will be a slip stitch. There we go. So this is the actual circle, which is really tiny. I probably should have done more chains, but this is the circle, and now the pattern is saying to go ahead and chain 1, and then what we're going to do next is single crochet 4 times in the center. And there's the center of that circle. I insert the hook, pick up the yarn, come back through, pick up the yarn again, and go through the 2 pieces of yarn on the hook. That's my first single crochet. I'm going to do this 3 more times by inserting the hook in the center of that circle. Here's the 3rd one, and then the 4th one's coming up, and you see the circle there a little bit better. And this is typically how you start a project that you're working in a circle. And then it will say to go ahead and slip stitch together with the first chain. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to put the work down for now and then show you how to do the magic circle. But there you have your starter chain stitch with the circle, and you see the hole in the middle. And then the magic circle or magic ring is going to eliminate that circle that you see if you don't want to have that. So now we're going to go ahead and do the magic ring, magic circle. And you don't do a slip knot. What you do is you put the yarn between your pinky and your ring finger, and you come around the front top of your fingers, come around again, grab the yarn with your pinky, then take the thumb and hold it into place there. Take your hook, go under that first piece of yarn, grab the back piece of yarn, pull it through, twist your hook around. Now here comes the hard part. Grabbing that back piece of yarn and then just pulling it through the yarn that is on the hook. Now you have your magic circle, and you slowly take your fingers out while holding on to it, and I take my tail that's on the right, I move it over to the left, and then I'm going to grab up my working yarn, grab the tail and the circle together, and we are going to do our single crochets around that. But first I have to do 1 chain stitch, because I'm saying that's what the pattern calls for, before I do my 4 single crochets. Here is my first single crochet, and you will have to move your fingers around to hold it in place. It's not as easy as the starter chain stitch. And once I finish doing the last single crochet, I'm going to be taking that tail and pulling it to tighten this up into a ring. So now that I've finished that 4th single crochet, I'm grabbing the tail, and you just pull, and this brings it all together. You don't have to pull this as tight as you see me pulling it. I was just trying to get it as close together as I could before I go ahead and just do a slip stitch to bring the whole thing together. But you see there's no hole in the middle of this. And sometimes that's going to be much better for your project. There are some granny squares that do want you to have the hole appear in the middle, so it just depends on what your pattern looks like. So I'm doing the slip stitch to connect it together, and there you have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the tail, or cut the working yarn piece off, and pull it through. So there's the piece on the right with the magic circle, and there's the piece on the left with the starter chain. And you see there is a circle, or a hole, like a donut hole, in the starter chain example. Now, just to show you what I'm talking about, here is a hat that I had made with the starter chain, and you see the circle. Now, if I didn't use that and I used the magic circle instead, that would have been closed. And that's the whole purpose of the magic circle, or the magic ring for that matter, whatever you want to call it. If you have a pattern that calls for a magic circle and you would rather do a starter chain, all I can do is recommend that you just do a starter chain. Just try doing 4 chains, 5 chains, 6 chains, and then follow your pattern after the magic circle if it calls for 1 chain and single crochet or what have you. And that way, if you don't like doing the magic circle and you would prefer doing the starter chain, then just go ahead and do it like that. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like and subscribe. Any comments, are welcome. And I will be making some more baby things, another baby blanket, who knows what. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.